So we've had a fair amount of controversy today with Marvel's Avengers in regards to the fact it looks like the last patch that they put out has actually stealth nerfed loot. So they've brought down some of the numbers, but they've not actually announced it. Something that a lot of people are likening to what Anthem done. I hate to mention Anthem in regards to this game because I'm sick of people making the comparison, but that is something they actually done way back with Anthem when it first came out. There was a lot of complaints, a lot of bugs, and the developers went in and actually nerfed the loot. Now I'll give my thoughts on this in this video anyway, but what I'll do first is we'll talk about exactly what it was. It looks like it was nerfed. Now I have put a lot of hours into the game, you can probably tell that from all the videos I'm putting out, so I put a lot of hours into the game, so I know exactly what was dropping, and when there's any changes I know exactly what has changed as well. So the first change in question, this was in regards to, I actually put out a video on it, but I will mention that my video was only out a few hours and only had a few thousand views, so don't blame me for this being nerfed at all. But this was in regards to the fact you could run your shield or Inhumans missions and you would get a guaranteed rare pattern. That's your blue patterns you would put into the fabricator machines, and you could do the missions in round about 5 minutes or so. We also have the fact that you had some lower level missions, and I believe it was specifically hero iconic missions. Again, missions you could run in about 5 minutes or so, and these would give a guaranteed legendary. So the way it is now, the costume patterns look to be completely removed from those missions. I don't think they drop at all. And then with the legendary gear, that is being downgraded to your purple rarity, which is your epic gear. In regards to your elite missions, that's your elite hives, your bosses, and also your vaults. They've been untouched as far as I can see. I've done a lot of runs in them. You do get a guaranteed legendary at the end, and that still appears to be the case. However, I will say that some heroes look to be bugged. There's certain heroes like Captain America, you always get something, whereas Black Widow, I'm not having much luck with her. So as an individual hero, she does look to be bugged there. So what are my general thoughts on this? Now we'll start off with the fact that it looks to be a stealth nerf. They are the worst kind of nerfs. So previously when I used to play Marvel Strike Force, you would get these small anti-player changes that would be put in with every new patch, and they would hope that the players wouldn't actually notice it. Now the kind of people that play games such as this, players like me, are the kind of people that will spend hours actually creating spreadsheets for builds. Now when you want to make a change such as this, it's not going to go unnoticed. So the two big problems that actually creates is, one, it makes you actually look untrustworthy, and it makes you look like you're not actually respecting the players when you don't tell them when a change like this is made. And two is the fact that on a lot of occasions you could actually have very good rationale for making changes, and I'll actually tell you what I think about the actual changes apart from the fact they are stealth changes in a moment. But you could have very good rationale. If you provide that rationale up front, it can make all the difference with players actually accepting it. And thinking back to a game I used to cover, a lot of people probably know me from it, it was Marvel Heroes Omega. Now they would make a lot of changes, but they would have a developer called Michael Mayhem, and what he would do is he would come in and they would actually list the reasons and break it down why they were making these specific changes. And I've seen so many changes that if they just were brought out with no announcement, players would have went crazy. But when he provided the rationale, players actually said, you know what, this is for the good long-term health of the game, and I actually accept it. So that's something they need to do. You're not going to get away with making a stealth nerf. Players will notice, and if you provide rationale, you can actually explain to people why you are doing it in the first instance as well. Now moving on to the actual loot in question that was nerfed. So firstly we have the rare patterns. So these were giving you a potential costume. I say potential costume because at the moment it looks to be bugged and it's not always giving costumes, and you can actually get duplicates as well. Now you were running a particular shield stage, and with this you would get a rare pattern one every 5 minutes, which certainly does seem a lot. I will admit that myself. That's why I've done a video on it, because I knew it's something that people would watch. But again, my video was just out a few hours, so don't blame me for it. But with this, it was one rare pattern every 5 minutes or so. Now just roughly, I've not been able to add them all up because some of the costumes have unlocked and it's hard to tell, but I would say there's probably about 50 costumes in that particular costume pool that you can unlock from the machine on board the helicarrier. So that means the particular costume that you're looking for, you get roughly about a 2% chance to actually get it. So yes, you can farm the rare patterns relatively quickly, but the chance to actually get the costume you want is really low. If you get a duplicate for the rare tokens, you get 250 units back. Now, it costs round about 7,000 units for a legendary costume, which would mean you would need 30 duplicates, which would actually take you a good few hours at least. It would take you about 3-4 hours to actually farm them, but you would need 30 duplicates before you could get a legendary costume. You've also got the fact that with this, that these costumes are not part of the marketplace, so then developers aren't really losing money out of it at all. And yeah, so this one I don't 100% agree with, but I do feel that maybe it shouldn't have been guaranteed, because it did seem a little bit much. Maybe if you had a 30% chance when you're running one of these missions to actually get these, but completely removing them from the way it looks to be does feel a bit like overkill for me. Moving on to the legendary items, so what was happening was you had players that could run lower level content on the easiest difficulty. That would be challenge 1, able to clear it in about 5 minutes, and they would get a guaranteed legendary. Now, I am very much aware that legendaries have a ton of variables on them and will potentially need thousands of them until we start getting really good perfect rolls in them. However, the second highest tier level for gear dropping in the game on the easiest difficulty and lower levels does seem a bit too much, so I do agree with the fact that they've reduced this to epic. However, some players have actually mentioned the fact that it looks like they're at the soft cap for 130, but the epic gear that's dropping is 120. I don't agree with that at all. The epic gear that is dropping there should be the same power levels as them, shouldn't ever be lower, so you'd be making negative progress almost in a way if you were to equip a piece. So overall here, I don't feel that the changes are massively unreasonable, although I do feel they've took a hammer to crack a chestnut, as they say. The patterns shouldn't have been removed altogether, they should have been lowered a fair bit, and as I say, about a 30% chance would have been fair enough. With your legendary gear, yes, move it to epic, but don't pull down the power levels of the gear as well. And probably the most important thing, do not try and do stealth nerfs like this. You will not get away with it. You'll piss everyone off, and they will notice it. They will always notice it every single time without fail. So announce it on the forums, provide the rationale as to why you're actually doing it, and players will be a lot more accepting about it. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I know it is an incredibly contentious subject when it comes to nerfs, and someone saying they partially agree with it, but there are certainly some caveats to me agreeing with it as well. But let me know in the comments below, and thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.